A story is a narrative, either true or fictitious, in prose or verse, designed to interest, amuse, or instruct the hearer or reader. These stories branch off from the myths and legends we hear from the passing of the wind. They each shift to fit the modern times and attempt to survive, yet none do. Either slowly perishing with each change to the story, or is ripped from the pages to be long forgotten. Why do I share this? I guess it's to teach you that the stories you read come from somewhere, through experiences and learning. But I'm not here to teach you. I'm just the one narrating the story. It's a simple one, short and sweet, if you can call it sweet. I find the tale leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. My opinion does not matter, though. This tale takes place in a humble land, where food was plentiful, streams of crystal clear water branched through it all, and the people were content. Among them were three, two siblings, a boy and girl, the other a boy as well, a cousin by marriage. How they met was through the siblings' father, who married their mother when they were young, who had them travel to his home to begin a new life there with his family. Arriving there, the children were timid around the strangers. When a child from the village came up to the two, who then asked,
"Want to play?"
In response, the little girl came up to the boy, taking the ball in her hands, starting a bond that will continue to grow and become a bond that will last even after a lifetime. True to those words, their relationship grew as they did. Coming of age, each took an apprenticeship in the town. The sister a blacksmith, the brother a guard, the cousin a healer. A day came when the brother guard would be on his first patrol, excited in sharing the experience to his companions, forgot to be aware of his surroundings, unfortunately leaving him vulnerable to attack. As the brother guard was left on the path with fatal wounds, another guard came along fighting the wounded man and swiftly took him to a healer. Sister, working in the foyer, heard a commotion outside. Loudly she heard,
"A guard has been injured!"
That the possibility that her brother was the guard rushed through the crowd. Making her way to the infirmary, was swallowed in despair in finding what she feared. Their cousin, explained to her the wounds inflicted on the brother. All his wounds were easily treated, but one. He'd found it infected with a poison, guessing the weapon was laced in it. The poison, unfamiliar to the healers, were unable to cure the blacksmith's brother. The blacksmith, feeling lost, sat at the steps of the healer's hut, when suddenly a stranger approached her.
"What troubles you?"
The stranger asked, seeing her sorrowful expression. My brother is ill, and none know what can be done. The stranger, seeing her plight, said to her,
"Then go to a fae, ask for its help."
Stunned by the stranger's words, laughed and mockingly said, A fae? A fae belong in stories.
Yes, but even stories hold some truth.
Skeptical at the stranger, decided to humor them. If I go in search of a fae, what makes you think they would help me? What could I trade they would find satisfactory for my brother's life? They may be beautiful, still they are tricksters at heart. Fae were magical creatures, having humanoid form and animal features, or something of nature. They were known for their beauty, but also for their tricks and their twisted promises.
Then be sly, clever. Do not reveal your hands until you've made your intentions clear.
Now you're speaking madness. As she made her way to leave, the stranger whispered,
You do wish to save your brother, don't you?
Where do I begin my search?
I know of a fae by legend who lives near these woods. You must take the path the branches crowd, forbidding light to enter. At the end of the path, follow a stream leading down, and continue to follow it until someone diverts your path who will lead you to whom you seek.
How do I know if they are the ones to guide me?
You will know.
Following the stream down, her patience ran thin with every step, thinking she was led on a wild goose chase. Hearing a rustle in the bushes, spotted a small creature, a pixie, an outworldly creature known to cause mischief and trouble. If this wasn't the one to divert her path, then she didn't know what was. The pixie, tugging her along, made their way. After a long journey, they reached the cave entrance. The blacksmith slowly steps their way to it as the pixie watches them go. The pixie mischievously laughed, then flies off. As she went deeper into the cave, her surroundings became damp and dark, hardly seeing the end of her nose. Then a light appeared. Its light was a greeny hue, illuminating part of the cave's walls and showing a hidden opening. Looking around, she heard a voice call from the shadows. Stepping into the dim-lit room, a cloaked figure appeared. The blacksmith, taking notice of their appearance, saw horns sprouting from their head, legs shaped of an animal she could not name, and feathers dark as night surrounded the being. The fae inquired of who she was. The only thing she gave was a position as a blacksmith, living in a humble home, who sought help from the fae, purposefully leaving out her name, knowing well how sharing such a personal thing would leave her helpless to them. Sharing a name to a magical creature is selling your soul to them. The fae asked what help she sought. She told him of the illness that befouled her brother, all from a poison they did not know. A scroll of their contract was easily constructed by a snap of the fae's finger, holding the agreement between the human and the fae, saying the fae would cure her brother's sickness. In return, he receives two things precious to her. The blacksmith asked the fae what he would be taking that was so precious from her. The fae reassured her that they would be taking what they saw precious in her, not elaborating on what was, and told her to think of it as a blind agreement. Becoming more hesitant, the blacksmith second-guessed herself. If what she was doing was madness, the fae sensed her doubts, decided to reassure her in his own way. Snapping their fingers again, a large mirror appeared, swirling with black and white. It then showing a grave on a hill with her cousin standing beside it with a mourning expression. The girl cried, seeing her brother's name carved into the stone. This can't be! Oh, it is.
You want to change well I said. You tread just through the glass. So if you pay the price and you make a deal with me, the day he takes his final breath will never come to pass. You can trust in me, I'm not as bad as you've been told. You'll find I'm rather fair. To save your brother, you need to sign a scroll. I understand you had reservations, not knowing what I'll ask of you is reason to think twice. But I give you my word, you both will be safe and sound. Although you'll learn magic never comes without a price. You can trust in me, I'm not as bad as you recall. You'll find I'm quite sincere. To change your future, you have to risk it all.
And risk it she did. Signing the scroll, the deal was made, not knowing the consequences, only her brother's well-being. The fae, taking the contract with glee, chains sprouted, clasping to the blacksmith's wrists. The fae's own fell to the ground. What the fae took that they considered precious to the human was her freedom and mortality, or rather, her soul. The fae was always envious of humans having a soul, considering a magical creature when it dies goes back to the earth, never to reform. But when a creature with a soul dies, in this life, move on to the next. Taking the blacksmith's freedom was a bonus, being magically bound to the cave from an old spat with another of its kind. Could not do anything with his new mortality if they had no freedom. When the blacksmith was left alone, She grew sorrowful. Looking back in the mirror, she saw the image of her dead brother and her mournful cousin gone, and in its place were them both, alive and well, both standing above another gravestone. Her grave. This story, short and simple, holds a meaning to those who find themselves in similar situations. Hopefully you too won't make the same mistake I did.